Konami Studios. It's here. It's been over 20 years since the last Mortal Kombat movie, right? 98 was the last one? It's here. We got a Mortal Kombat movie. You know, I am a big fan of this franchise. It's one of those things I've always enjoyed playing. It's one of my favorite series of games. So I'm like, yeah, let's make a movie about this. Makes sense to me. You already have a narrative built in that you can play off of and do different stuff with, so go for it. You already have a cast of colorful characters, so go for it. What we got here, not really what I'd expect, and if I'm being honest, it's a really big mixed bag. I think it knew what it was trying to do, but what it was trying to do wasn't really evocative of the game. Like, you try to do... okay, I want to say this, I want to state this before we get too far into this review, because this is something I really believe in. You know, looking at the roster of every character in Mortal Kombat, I don't think there is really an arc or a journey or a characterization for any of the main characters. The biggest one to me would be Scorpion's journey from avenging his family. The second one would be Johnny Cage, who's a douchebag. But every other character, they're not really having moments of levity or realization or characterization. So you don't have to have these intense moments of character arcs where they go on a journey or anything. They read exposition, they say their story, that's it. I don't think there's much to it other than that. So when you try to give characters who don't normally have that arc in a story, take that route, it doesn't work all the time. You know, and there are things about this movie I really liked. The costumes, for the most part, are exceptional. You know, there's certain characters in here that look like they're straight out of the video game. They look perfect. They have the great aesthetic. In particular, I think Kung Lao and Liu Kang look really good. Raiden looks really good. Cabal looks good. Kano, Jax, Sonya, they all look really good. They have that distinctive characterization that looks like they are out of the game. When it comes to Scorpion and Sub-Zero, I think the effort is there and you could tell that they wanted to get that look across, and they did for the most part. I just think it just missed that little bit of extra color that those characters needed, because it was really gray and silver and a really dark gold and a lot of black, and you're like, that's fine. But if you're already doing this stuff with Cabal, and you're already doing the stuff with Goro, why not go the extra mile to add the extra bright yellow and blue for those characters? I don't know. That being said, the actors playing Scorpion and Sub-Zero did the best out of anybody in the film, so I can't fault them on that. They were the best acted. They knew what they were doing. That if that was the main focus of the story, it would have been better, because that character of Scorpion is a way more compelling lead than the one we got in this movie. And we'll get to it in a bit here. And you know, I just think there was a lot of good elements in this that worked. The action looked good for the most part. You know, there's a lot of people that are worried it's going to be a bunch of jump cuts and stuff, and there are a lot of jump cuts, and we cut to different parts of the stuff, and it's edited very interestingly, I will say. But I think you can tell what the fluidity of the action is more so than some other contemporary kung fu pieces that we've seen. So I like that a lot. I won't say it's going to blow your mind away seeing some of these action pieces, because it doesn't. It looks good, but I wouldn't say it's super impressive. They do a lot of good stuff the hard R rating, the blood splatter in this show looks really good. That to me was that's what I want. If you're going to go all out for this, go all out for this. Show some of those really intense fatalities that we want to see. And you know what? They did. They didn't skimp on the fatalities. When a character does end up meeting their fate, it looks pretty good. It looked very interesting. And that's the part about it I liked. Something that I know a lot of people might be a fan of, or you could go either way on it. I go either way on it, is just the callbacks to the video game. There's certain moments for me, especially when it comes to certain things you say. I won't get into too specific of moments, but things like Kano wins, you know, flawless victory, that kind of stuff. I know why you're saying it. It's because we're watching a video game movie, and you're saying that because it's in the video game, but it takes away from the actual narrative flow of the story to say those things. So that kind of upsets me a bit, where it's I get it. We all know what Mortal Kombat is, presumably, if we're watching this. And to the people who aren't watching this, who don't know what Mortal Kombat is, they're not going to care if you don't put in the flawless victory. Is anybody going to lose sleep over someone saying flawless victory? I don't know. It's weird. But it was fine. You know, this whole movie, there's a lot of choices that are made where I'm you clearly knew what you were doing here. You had an idea for this character, for this storyline, for this world. You almost got it into its full conception. There's just a few things that kind of missed the mark. And I don't think it's a bad thing. To me, one of the weakest characters in this was Raiden, and he didn't play a big role, but it's like, there's a level to Raiden that I think is kind of missed in some stories, and that's like, I think he should be played up as like sympathetic to his heroes and the world he is a part of. I don't think Raiden should be like this evil guy who's pissed off. He just more like, this is what I could do, here we are, I'm gonna make sure you guys are okay, instead of just being like, really? You can't even fight worth shit, you idiots? That's where we are? Really? That's what you're doing? That's more Raiden to me than what we got, and it's weird. But the biggest hindrance of me for this film that made it just like, oh, I can't, I don't know if it's good, was Cole Young. Now, Cole Young, for some reason, he is our ride-along character who has never appeared in any games before, because, you know, we have over 50 characters in the entire lore of Mortal Kombat. We have to make a new one instead of just taking one of our already existing characters and making them a ride-along character. And I like Lewis Tan. I think he's a solid actor. I've liked him in Into the Badlands. I'm sure he's a very good guy, but he played this character so boring and stiff and uninteresting that I really think he hindered a lot of the story, because when we are learning about this world for the first time, we kind of want a guy who looks capable and is able to do certain things, not just some guy who can't win a fight and then in the end he magically wins for some reason. That's stupid. That's lazy. I don't like this lead. I don't like him as a character. He didn't add anything to the story. He didn't like do anything cool. And when we're like building our entire universe on him, it kind of sucks. You know who would have been better? Curtis Stryker. And I understand the need for Cole Young, but we already have these characters that exist that we could use. And if you don't want to do Johnny Cage right away, then focus on Sonya and Jax, because surprisingly, they were good. I think they were fun. You know, I won't say they blew my mind. It's just like, it's your army people, you know? You've seen Sarah Connor. It's Sarah Connor. And then it's just a guy with a mustache. Like, you get it. Like, it's fine. There's nothing wrong about them. It's just like, that's who you should have focused on. Or even Luddy Lin in his portrayal of Liu Kang. Like, why wouldn't we focus on him? He actually looked really good, I gotta say. Like, that kid, I wasn't expecting him to be, like, over the top or anything, but he really pulled off what he did. And Kung Lao, too. Like, they looked great. They had great stories that I wish were focused more on than the Cole Young stuff, because we are here to see the tournament, go to Outworld, and go to all these different magical places with these unique characters, and we're focusing on some basic guy from just, like, America doing absolutely nothing interesting. You have this entire world to explore, and this is what we're focusing on. It's just weird to me that that's what we focused on, and those are the areas we went to. It's really weird, actually, that that's the part of this that people decided we should have, because we have literally an entire universe of characters, and we're not going into this for like some emotional story. Nobody has played Mortal Kombat because they are invested in the character's story. They want to see the mindless violence with unique looking characters. You know, we got a cowboy in one of the most recent games. We got weird bee lady. We're looking for these weird creepy designs. That's what people want to play. That's what people want to be involved with. So the fact that we're just focusing on this weird dude, kind of a bad MMA fighter, why? That's weird. And that's the stuff that's like, oh, that's not what you should focus on. And with all that storyline, there is actually some good stuff in here that they focus on pretty well. There's like this weird underlying story that I don't really like, that I think is just like, this is kind of an easy way to explain certain things that are kind of part of the video game. That's like the people getting like the power-ups and stuff. It's just weird. It's like you like focus hard enough, you can get your power up instead of like just being good at fighting. It's like you fight hard enough, you'll become that stuff. It's weird. I don't get it. I don't get why that's part of this story, but that's just something in here now for some reason. Whatever. It's fine. It won't like deteriorate the story or anything. It's just like, it's a weird choice. It's a weird choice too that we tease like the Mortal Kombat tournament, but we never actually have the Mortal Kombat tournament. It's more like the characters are all there who would be in the tournament, but we fight in something that's not like an official Mortal Kombat tournament. Weird choices. It's weird. You know, I think some of the best stuff in it was Kano. Surprisingly, Kano was like the best stuff. Was he over excessive at times? Absolutely. 100% there are times where we're like, do we really have to focus this much on Kano? He had a lot more screen time than I think you'd expect for that character, and it's just weird. And like they set him up more so than they set up like half the heroes for some reason. Like we don't focus on, we get like references to Liu Kang's history, we get references to like Sonya's past and that, but it's like we actually meet a character connected to Kano's past, and he's a villain. It's weird. It's a weird thing to focus on. And for being a Mortal Kombat thing, and your two franchise staples are Scorpion and Sub-Zero, they do not appear in this movie a lot. And when they do, you're just like, why couldn't this have been the whole movie? We could have just set up, if we did this movie differently, and I don't want to be that guy that's like, oh, we should have done something differently. But make Scorpion your ride-along character. He comes out of the underworld. Bring Quan Chi in there, bringing him back to fight as like a puppeteer for Shang Tsung, and he's building up this way in Mortal Kombat where he's also fighting maybe like the villains or the heroes in a different way, and then we actually do the Mortal Kombat tournament instead of just like teasing it for some reason. It's a bizarre movie, but at the same time, I enjoyed myself watching it. Like, I think the action was good enough, the characters were good enough. When it looked good, it looked good. The blood was really fun to see, and it's just like a schlucky B-list movie. Like, that's all it is. It's just like a B-list action movie, because that is Mortal Kombat to a T. It's colorful characters doing gratuitous violence, and you don't need anything else besides that. It's Mortal Kombat with added story where there doesn't need to be added story. I don't know what else to say. Like, that's the thing. Lewis Tan, I don't need him in the sequel, but he's our ride-along character for some reason, so we're gonna see him. We could have made it Liu Kang. You could have done the same kind of story and have it be with Liu Kang. That's all I'm gonna say, but it's just like, it's a weird movie. I do recommend watching it though, because I would like to see a sequel to this, and if a sequel does happen, I'd expect we get some cooler characters and spend less time on Earth. That's all I want. That's all we want from Mortal Kombat. So, Mortal Kombat 2021, a movie that nobody really thought would ever happen again, but it happened again. I am going to give a 6 out of 10. Now, thank you guys for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, all that good stuff, and I'll catch you in the next one. Have fun, stay safe, good luck. I was going to do a Mortal Kombat pose. It doesn't matter now.